Call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. May I have any thing to be added to the agenda? Has all of our committee members received the agenda? Yes. Good. May I have a mover to approve the agenda? Moved by Mr. Ward and then seconder. Secretary Waddy Smell, all in favor? Or carry. Any disclosure of parity interest, the general name thereof? Very good. Minutes of the previous, the Torah Johnson Committee meeting, July 24th, 2023. Is there any errors or omissions? May I have a mover? Sure. Moved by Mr. Martell, second by Chris Ward. All in favor? Okay. Business arising from the previous court PMC minutes, if any. None? Nope. Okay, this is arising, discussion. Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Just that in Wednesday, the first third page at the top, we're putting something to this meeting, we're deferring it to September.
Run that by me, I'm sorry. What page?
Page 3 at the top. Page request made by the committee.
Discuss the intended forecast budget.
No, it says the request report meeting for grading charge action plan following proposed grade calculation. Changes in the request of the discussion item to be added to the August meeting. So we moved that to September.
Very good. Thank you. Discussion items. We have none. Action. We have action information items. 8A. Green operations report. And who's going to report that, Mr. Ballard?
Michael.
Michael?
Thank you. The overall grain inventory month of July is 29,660 metric tons. The port received its first load of new crop wheat on July 19th. You'll see in our inventory now in the box. The traffic summary for July received a total of 33,974 metric tons of grain via truck. We shipped 10,315 metric tons out via truck. We shipped 15,896 tons via vessel, and we shipped a total of 459 metric tons via rail. The port was also from July 15th and 16th and July 30th to ship corn to local processors. Just a bit of a volume comparison. We'll talk about labor. In 2022, for the year, we received 78,793 tons of corn. 2023 to date, we've already received 89,629. So we've already put more corn to the building than we did all of last year. Our July in and out, so what we received and what we shipped out in 2022 was 13,997 tons. And July this year is 60,644 tons. That's over 4 times the volume of 1 month. Our reportable incidents, we didn't have any other than to Kettle Brown. A labor report, current year, month 2,906 hours. For the year is 19,268. Previous year month, 2,377 hours. Total for the year was 14,834. Quality reports, our inspection this month was AA. That is the operation report.
Any questions, comments? Regina, start from you. Okay, Frank. Nothing. Mr. Ward?
Sure. So, yeah. So on through the chair, I guess to whomever, I guess. But so with the inventory, I want to say down at around 29, call it 30 30,000 tons versus 73,000. I'm assuming we're feeling really good about our position this year. Like I know last year we had a lot of, you know, pauses with people having to come and everything. We're feeling a lot better this year. It looks like it's better start off. So that's a true statement. We're okay with that, or?
Absolutely, certainly in that position.
Yeah, and I mean, to your point, we're getting lots of volume through, which is great. Good to see that as well, and it shows here, which is excellent. So,
Yeah. Hands are on the inventory, down to small opportunity, work on our wins. Okay, I want to maintenance done.
That's all I needed to say.
Mr. Smell,
On here.
I just have a quick question.
go ahead.
With regards to the inventory situation right now with wheat starting to come in on the 19th. Is there any idea or a number attached to how much wheat's been reserved or how much space has been allocated for wheat this year?
We haven't really said anything yet, because we do have some wheat that's shipping out. The wheat volume isn't what we've seen last year. It's for 8,000 tons right now, behind what we brought in last year. The crop seems to be slowing down a bit. We certainly will cap it if we see the need to, but right now it's just not there yet.
Okay, is there a cap number that you've assigned for wheat? You sort of implied that, some. Just looking
Yeah,
at
somewhere in 60,000.
60,000 metric tons per wheat
Yeah.
for this calendar year.
Correct.
Okay. And right now, we're nowhere.
36.
36 is sort of the allocation.
36,000 tons in our building right now.
Okay,
And we should be, we're probably for the season.
Yeah.
We announced.
yeah, the winter wheats, most of it's off. This summer, the spring wheat is starting to come around. So there's a lot of combines just hitting the trails and starting pulling on stage in a minute. Okay. Good, thank you.
I have a question, Mr. Moulton. Ship total 459 metric tons of grain by rail. Where'd that go?
We're down east somewhere.
Okay.
Definitely Piedmont.
Is that right? And is that that's wheat?
That's corn.
Corn, okay, it says grain, okay. And with their the volume comparison, that should give you a wake-up call. Gives me a wake-up call. Going from 13,000 in and out in 2022 to 60,000. That's busy.
We've been busy this year.
Yeah.
I just thought maybe a better way to explain that.
No,
To
and
the
it's
members that,
good information to have, but kind of, how we've been going on and
Sure.
put the pressure on
yeah, fair enough.
about labor. I mean, that's now we can see where we go from. So. No, good job. Thanks very much. Any other questions, comments? Okey-doke. We're gonna go to 8B, maintenance report. Yes, Mrs. Dodgers, you go right ahead then.
Yeah, basically the maintenance on this time of year is focused on getting ready for harvest, as we go through harvest, so, maintaining our grain dryer, at the end, things come after you get home and do maintenance on the sweeps, the auger. We also do the DMP maintenance, so we're on the, exit equipment, so we go through, we do checks, make sure the layers are on the valves open, and the way they're supposed to. We never look at the tire rod, on the floor, it was repaired, it was replaced, and we continue to work on items from our work order log this year. So as issues arise, and guys report them into the database, and we prioritize morning operation needs, and we keep docking that this right now the priority and severity of the need. And we also do on monthly justice checks, make sure that the operating properly. On the right side, looking at the inspector, rolling pilots, is a little bit more this year, so it's a good chance to make sure that are in order. And the great networks as well, and for the ship season, so rather than advantage is sure we've got to keep going ahead of the flying harvest season. We're looking at the summer and some more certain boards for rain monitoring, for the temperature monitoring system. So now we have done, we just got some boards to place the so as they These ones come back, and the next ones go out, for the default and back. And then we're looking at, we check our ETS and, regular basis as well, and pricing matters this year. Because our contract with the rate again, they will roll inspection to the fall, I think you know that. Should be going to have to come to us, 2 days on there. We certify everything, the post wireless, we began inspection, the product. Everything is in order. And we also have to inspect our fire hydrants, the flow rates, and you can see the rates there, and those are, and the whole rate is going to be required. That is the model.
Questions?
It's just a quick little innocuous one, but and it might be because it's close to home as far as my day job goes, but. These PCBs you're replacing there, have there been any issues with them, or don't have any upgrades, or we haven't had any?
We had intermittent failures on the jumper system, which is left. We have this in front around some of the drivers, the modular system, and our boards were incompatible. Usually what we bought some boards from last year, or just were compatible. So we had a discussion about the way to read up the all the board and stuff.
Okay, and it's working out, we're not losing any boards because of it, right?
Well, it was just, it's not going to be conflicts of events, related to the board, so we have to reset the system and everyone can buy it online.
That's good. That was just because I know it's a really tricky industry these days, and if you're losing boards, that can become a problem. That's good. Appreciate it.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I have one question, it's concerning hydrants. You're on the well system, right? You're not on water from this plant there. You are on the well?
Yes.
Okay, because,
We're the part of the system.
okay, yeah, I was just wondering, like, you don't flush your hydrants, say, because of chlorine, you don't chlorine water. Right?
We still flush them.
Oh, you still flush them? Okay, that's what, how many hydrants do you have there? Thanks.
Mr. Stitt? Mr. Cameron? Very good. I have nothing. C. We'll move on to 8C, capital projects report. Mr. Saunders, you're up again.
All right, the trading project is complete. We already there last month of the training project. Filling that option for the roof on the when we got traffic deal for the mentioning coming from form. Prepared, the burn underway as we speak. There's the project, the burning engineering is done for now to preparing a few documents for the standard. Just system or the particular install crash gates there, and to legal products as needed. I don't know how much complete as for last month. Generator repair, the deal is issued, waiting on the contractor, and he is expected next week. What was it done? During the elevator, there's a tough patch approved, with inspection in December. Work and there's another information item later tonight. Elevator within the house, that works continue. The electricians are now pulling wire. They're having a little issues with getting parts. Some of the parts are being hardly come by. So we're going to be delayed about a month on finishing that project. Electrical meter cables are underway. Expected to wrap up in September. Place the Bobcat, I've actually approved last meeting, so it's on order. We're waiting for them to confirm the delivery date. Originally, we did 45 days from order, so we are expecting it in September, but no confirmation of that at this time. New brain driving, so it's ready. Now, from the funding was in we're going through the rate, our two documents.
tender. No, deferred until next year. And 20 again complete, replacement of aerators, we got 52 out of 55 working again, about 3 to work on, we need some, parts. Before to complete those repairs. Parts, the lockers are in-house. Yeah, a little more money at the top of that program. We found out one of the suppliers got some invoice. They want to wear it here. We tried to wear it. It's different, so the suppliers can fix. We changed the grad, we have it in stock, it's being supported on the way to that. A little bit of white time between wheat and soybean. Hoping to do that with that. New orders installed. New Skyview Marine, we have one complete. We ordered the additional gates and hardware for the fleet, and the additional form out for the technical end of the town. And we can get that. Whatever the period on it. Yeah, part of the supply chain that we built in the good and so starting to get the product. And the last item that we last month is that is the update for ours and the community.
Okay. Any question?
Quick question, in terms of the dredging, when is the first ship anticipated, in terms of loading? You have any problems with the dredging, the ship coinciding?
Yes.
What?
More questions. We have a vessel tentatively scheduled for Monday. And so we're thinking the dredging. It's going to be tight to get it completed by that, but we're going to see if they can't do it weekends. They started with 3 filling containers, 7-yard containers, and started with 3 a day, and ended up with today they did 5, so we get quicker at it. We're hoping that the timing some of it, I think we'll be close. But because they're delayed, what they want to do is they'll just go off to the side and let the vessel in. And it's just a pop off, it's not a full vessel. Okay. I think it's 6,000, 5,000 tons. So it's kind of in and out, hopefully. And so, yeah, but it is close. It's kind of an unexpected vessel. Usually we don't get it until soybean starts. Right? Yeah, so we'll fit it in the.
Thanks.
Also a dredging question through the chair, if I may, just did they got anything cool there, or the pirate stress or anything?
Yeah, nothing so far.
Nothing to substance?
Cars and. Wait, nothing beyond that.
Mr. Ward?
It was sort of a general question, so I didn't just get time to look at my last month's one, so did anything move extra into 2024, or is it basically the same list? It looks like it's about the same, but I don't think anything moved.
I don't think anything never moved, projects that are marked for 2024, 8.
Yeah, no, sorry, I just meant, I thought they looked the same, but I just didn't get time to look, so I thought yeah, okay, that's fine.
Mr. Small?
Through the chair to, what's your name? Somebody.
Robert.
Oh, no, the guy beside you. Gavin, hey, apologize, Gavin. I just got a question on number 3 about the garage. I might have missed it, I don't know, it says, you're gonna raise the roof or a new garage. But,
Looking at fixing the roof, or possibly putting in rafters in order to get the head space for the, traffic.
okay, thanks, sorry about that, Gavin.
And possibly a new one, probably.
Okay.
Mr. Smith? I have nothing on that. 2023 auction, we have a mill. Are you, what's the situation, like, what's the chances of us going 6 mil though? Now that we're in the September, you might as well say September. With the budget forecast for 2023, you budget for 6 mil. What's the chances of us hitting that this year? Is it possible, or are we gonna be behind, like, for instance, 150,000 for the new garage, and the 4 million's not going anywhere for that. for the grain dryer, right?
Right, so is the question about cash flow in there?
Sorry?
Is the question about cash flow, how much we're spending this year on the dryer?
Yeah, well, no, I just see where your budget forecast is 6 million.
Right,
We're at 1 million right now, actually,
right.
right? So what I'm saying is, what's our chances that we're gonna hit that 6 million, seeing that we're in September now?
I think we're gonna be doing another adjustment, depending on what.
Okay. Yeah.
So the dryer, right,
And go into 2024,
he moved it to 2024. So,
that's my question. Pardon me?
and I don't think we're going to be spending $2 million on the dryer this year.
No.
And that's in that number.
Good, thank you. We'll move on to C, capital projects report, sorry, we'll move on to D. How about financial report? And that's you, Robert?
Ron has been in this.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'm here to support her.
So our revenue for the month was 759,000, higher than budget by 359 and higher than last year. 347. Our grain services were up 410, which 154.8 of that is a grain trade offset by grain handling loss, which is the revenue expenses. Increase of 200,000 in revenues from the corn vessels too. Our harvest services were down 63.4. Our expenses were 556,000, which is an increase of 219 over last year and higher than budget by 14, mainly municipal allocations up 17.25, labor is up 36, fuel and electricity is up 10, and then the grain and loss, I mentioned 154.8. Our year-to-date revenue numbers are strong, and we're staying above 2022 totals. However, it is offset by higher expenses. Our harvest services revenue is up 113,000. Grain services is 303,000 higher, and rural services are 89. Our labor is up 213,000. Utilities are up 50. Operating admin is up 297,000, partially due to the municipal payments up 121. The timing of the authorization payment compared to last year is 60,000, and our outside services is up 62. Our year-to-date surplus is ahead of budget by 189,000, in part due to the farm vessel project, along with wheat harvest starting this month. While the record low inventory this time of year impacted revenues, the port continues to be in a positive position and in an excellent position, plenty of space for harvest. Transferred 183 towards our minimal payment of $1 million. Our accounts receivable are in good shape on 30 days. We have also 503. Got one hand, 6.2. Questions?
We'll start down here. How about you, Mr. Cameron?
I do have a question. My question is this. On the top line under the summary of grain services, the plus 410. Item number 2, $154,000 grain trade offset by grain handling loss. Can you encapsulate what that means? Where does the 154,000 come from the grain handling loss? Is that inventory adjustment? Is it something else?
It's exactly what it is. We were out of negative balance with our wheat. And we had a small surplus of corn, so we traded the corn with that as for the wheat.
To adjust for the climate. Nothing to do with any other crop in that?
It's just straight hammer loss. It's probably been going on for a couple of years, but we needed to adjust it. They're not going to go down so low.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's easier to see when there's nothing in the bin. Right? I get that. I get that. All right, thank you.
Mr. Schmidt? Mr. Snell?
No, I'm good.
No, I had the same question actually as Mr. Cameron, and I get it now, so that makes sense, so appreciate that.
No, just a comment, good to see the year-to-date numbers, I know last month there was some concern, and we're seeing the turnaround start as we hope, so good to see.
Okay. I have the harbor service, down 63,000. Is it because of the, steel? We didn't get the steel in, or why are we down the harbor service? That's the one I like to see up, and why is it down?
Yeah, well, our, we go back to our, prior month that we're comparing to our dry bulk cargo work, which is 48,000 month of July, and last year, 12,000. So that's the difference that I try to explain every meeting, salt coming in the months.
Oh, salt. Okay, yeah.
A lot of it, but you're right, that the steel project from 2022 that carried over in 2023 in the early months, January, February, March, really helped out our financials.
Right.
Now that project's gone, and so we'll slowly see us falling behind last year in harbor services, but we don't have the steel coming in anymore from right now anyways this year.
Do we have anything in the works? Not steel, whatever, anything to do with
There's
harbor
not
service?
steel, we still have the rail, like rail, that we're getting, some, money for storage on. That's still on our harbor front dock, the rest of that steel is gone now, and we don't have anything immediate works. I know they quoted some, break bulk to come in, larger size cargoes,
Mm.
but we haven't heard anything about that at this point.
And I'm like Clint, but I think he understood it. I don't understand it. The grain handling loss of 154,000. Like you said, you treat it. How did,
We sold some grain.
right,
And bought some grain, so it was a wash.
Okay.
We traded those surplus corn that we had for some inventory that we needed.
oh, okay, makes sense, okay, thank you.
So in the past, what would happen, just a little bit of history, if you don't mind, it would just be a trade with a plus minus, and that's it, it wouldn't even show up.
Right.
The auditors want that showing up as an expense in the revenue, so they cancel each other out.
Mhm.
So then, but why we're putting it down here is, not only to be transparent, but understand that when you're looking at revenue in the current next year, you wonder why you had such a big month with revenue, you know, that 150 is in there.
Right,
And you're wondering that's a big month in expenses, that 150 isn't. So it does, alter your numbers a little bit when you're looking month against month to the previous year. So it's just something to keep in mind. You look at next year and you're comparing, we have to remember that, and that's why we put it down.
good, thank you. Any other questions, comments on the finance report, Mr. Ward?
Just one that came out in that conversation, actually, so. If we were to fast forward to some future where there is maybe that, where they have that, where we basically have, you know, a different situation with regards to, humidity and drying these things, are we gonna still? We're gonna still need to maintain a certain amount of, like, did we do this partly because we know there's gonna be losses and we, that's the cost of losses for drying essentially, or is that not why?
Well, I'll try to explain an operations kind of something at a time, but I think you get a record to leave 60,000 for something in your inventory. So as it gets lower down, where everything basically moved out there, now we're seeing where we're potentially behind in our inventories. So at that point, that broker were to ask for that inventory, if it's not there, it's better to be upfront with them and say, look, we're short that enough, we're having losses, dust and so on. But we have some corn we would like to do it, and this is the practice that repeats itself as we get low inventory with certain commodities.
Okay, so nothing to do then with the drying thing, it was more to do with making sure we had some wheat to sell customers if somebody came along, then we guess we just coming along. Okay, that's good.
Any other questions, comments? That's just it.
So that's a. What's a dollar number? What's that translate into tons? Was it 5 tons? 50 tons?
No,
It was, so, you have numbers?
Yeah, I can't remember, 150. 50 tons.
Yeah, it was, 343.99 tons of red spring wheat. And it was 576 tons of corn. So if this was the value of what they're worth. So the corn was at $268.77 a ton. And the wheat was at about $450.20 a ton. So obviously you've got to trade more corn against the higher price of wine.
I'm really thirsty for this.
Go ahead.
Is that a normal kind of, I mean, obviously it depends on how much inventory you have. Is that for over a year or is it something for 2 years?
So I mean, it's just inventory that it may not have been there last year, I don't know.
Yeah, you just now seeing it, so
We're seeing now that it's the inventory sold.
But when's the last time you would have done that you had an adjustment? Do you remember? We're just trying to get a feel for, does it happen every year? Or
It's been a few years.
is anything you can plot or forecast a little bit?
I mean, it's hard, but it's
Somebody
more,
can do
the more you have, the more you move it, the more you move it, the more it goes. So you never do great, you have a loss. You go by and see the dust flying through the air, that's a loss. So I mean, depending on, if the weeks just come in and that's going back out, you got a loss. Typically, what we're seeing in Macy Dillon is, but we need very high quality. We can sit on it for a year, we just have been sell the top dollars and flowers. So we have to move it, to keep it fresh, and keep it from molding, keep the bugs out and stuff, so every time you move it, you keep moving it. That. My time is on 60,000 tons, it's not long.
But it is hard to work with us, it is hard to, and that's generally we try to explain as well with our soybeans and so on, that we keep some of that as part of our.
Yeah.
To handle, to counter these losses that we're going to get with corn and wheat and so on, some of the other commodities. It's always good to have a little bit of reserve to make sure it's always happening, and it's, you can't do inventory when it's so much commodity in your things, and that's difficult. I wish I could say that every single thing we went through this before. Everybody needs to stay there. It's really, you have to look at what you have at that time and what makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder if it was, if it was able to be forecasted, that's also, you know, a typical year, we move 10,000 tons of meat. We're gonna see, we're at risk for this type of loss. And we don't have to do a physical inventory every year. Yeah, there's no for physical inventory.
It was only in the CPC was every 5 years.
Okay.
And so we certainly are within that.
Yep.
Yeah, if that would happen every 5 years, we would have all these adjustments that we would have to make every 5 years. We'd be a little larger because it's a long period of time. Now we try to cut that down a little bit. It could be 2 to 3 years for some commodities, but we don't show it 5 years. Generally speaking.
Yeah, I just do that. Well, I'm used to it every year.
Yeah.
Everything's.
Any more questions? Comments? Okay, can we move on to 8E, vessel traffic report?
All right, thank you very much. So for the current year of July 31st, we were at 362,172 tons, compared to 278,742 tons. We're a little higher in fall. You can see we're getting caught up, or a little ahead of me, and we got our grain. It's the big one. That was a little unexpected, so that helped us quite a bit. We're ahead of last year with our numbers. As far as total numbers go, we're pretty much in line with last year, 22 versus 23. So we had a total of 3 ships in the month of July, load of salt, and 1 wheat and corn. It was a combination, and 1 unloaded out aggregate. So we currently have 3 vessels scheduled to unload salt, 1 to load out corn, the end of August.
Questions, comments? Right?
Quick question, just, how's the paving project that was done over there, you're finding that it's, to your satisfaction
Yeah,
on the salt dock?
absolutely. It's not perfect, but there was a little bit of a low area that we came back and we did fix. So, yeah, I mean, it's difficult when you have such a small grade, like 1% on that entire dock. So you're always at the rainstorm gonna see little puddles, just as long as they're gone after the sunset for an hour or two. And what we had in the past was some areas that were up to a foot and a half. You know, that have gone down and so on, so that's all been taken care of now. There'll always be some repair that have to be done on the docks, it's continuing to settle, but we've got most of the settlement has happened. So kind of the 80-20 rule, we've had an 80%. Actually, we'll still see some over here because we built that on the river, right? And so it is gonna continue to compact. Just not at the rate of the amount that we've seen. Thanks.
Okay. Went down. Yes, Joe.
I just have one question.
Yep, go ahead, Mr. Solomon.
You ever sealed the pavement sealing on the?
Yeah.
the docks?
Not on the top, we don't use sealant, we use the tack to impede the layers, but we're not using the sealant. Okay, on the top of it.
Thank you.
Mr. Stick? Mr. Kim? Oh, I have nothing on the rest of the report. Thank you. Any other questions, comments, people? We're moving on to the health and safety report.
I'll take that one. The following health and safety environmental activities were conducted by Tom Gu of Prevention and Regulatory Solutions. He completed training for 2 new casual employees in separate training sessions. Corresponded with management regarding the timing and training sessions for substance use and fit for duty and noise exposure prevention programs. Research regulatory changes and updated report procedure for health and safety committee, reviewed report management and consulted with safety committee. Research environmental approved documents for outdoor salt storage and forward information to report general manager for preparation for meeting with the Ministry of Environment and Conservation and Parks. Participated in an online meeting with MECP regarding the upcoming amendment to the environmental approval covering the Port Salt Water Treatment Facility. Updated confined space entry, assessment documents, and confined space entry permit forms for 2 classes of confined space, elevator bins, and elevator locker pits. Consulted with the safety committee on the elevator bin draft documents during a meeting, and circulated the locker pit draft documents for review by committee members. Questions?
Frank? Okay, let's do. You're off the hook easy, Michael. You're off that one easy. John's pretty good. How many days a week do we use him? Say per month. The average. Can someone ask?
It really depends, when we're in full training mode and so on, a couple days a week. Not there's so 8 days.
Do we do our training like when we're slow, like January, February, March? Okay. And so now we're not gonna be,
That's correct.
he won't be around.
Yeah, well, I won't say he won't be around, there could be the odd, like Mike mentioned, with
Right.
new people arriving, we have to get their orientation done and so on. but
Yeah. And he does all that?
It will slow down.
John does that, the orientation? Good.
There's a lot, he does a lot of things too, like, I mean, just it sounds easy that you don't update it confined space following. The changes in the regulations. they
Yes.
seem to do a lot of work, I mean,
Mhm.
government it's just a lot of extra work that whether we agree to it or not, we have to do it.
They love doing it. They don't care who,
Yeah.
and they're not gonna help us pay for it.
It's good for us for that.
Good, thank you. Moving on to 8G, GM's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We talked about the dredging already, fact that the project's completed, we met with the engineer to go over the marina. Boardwalk over there, we're looking at different scenarios. And I want to meet with Darren, the owners, to go over what we think we should do, is look for the latest sort of configuration we're looking at. And at that point, we'll start preparing our RFPs, it's definitely going to work. So we still have time to get that one this year, it may start this year and go over the start of this year. Collective bargaining update, we're still waiting to hear back from SERB regarding the second services, which is being available to continue negotiations. Agriculture, clean technology funding update, but yeah, we're just doing our preparation for the visits, which we already mentioned before. And just wanted to thank the board and the council staff for helping me make this successful. Thank you. Valley Dust Control, completed their repair to the tank, and it's ready to take some more calcium chloride. That was at their cost. Completed our tours of our young layers, good feedback, and posted our pictures on social media for you to know. And we had a meeting, online meeting with NECP officials from July 25th regarding our current PCA for technical salt report. At the end of the meeting, the environmental officer provided support with a 6-month window, present suggested amendments to our current PCA to decrease salt entering our retention pond. Although they did approve the original PCA and no longer will accept the level of calcium chloride, we are the outlet pipe at the retention pond. They suggested adding storage buildings on our dock as means to be salt runoff. Similar instructions have been given to Rio Vault because they have also got. The board will be working with Rio Vault to try and find a practical solution to deal with the issue. A report on our suggestions and financial analysis will be forthcoming to the port management committee prior to the final document going to NECP. Including this analysis will be the question of on the viability of continuing to receive salt at the port and the economic and social impact associated with this action. That's my report.
My only question is, what social media you use for to the pictures of Facebook?
And Twitter.
Twitter. Okay. Thanks.
With respect to salt storage, other ports must be receiving the same challenges from the ministry. Are we getting, if you talk to Thunder Bay, if you talk to Windsor, if you talk to wherever, talk to Oshawa, I suppose too, are they being challenged to perhaps build a building as opposed to leaving it on the dock?
I'm not sure the answer to that. They're coming up with sort of you can do this sort of attitude where they know it's not practical. Like we're not building a building on our dock that can hold 240,000 tons of salt. I can tell you right now. Plus, be able to load inside the building with trucks. Just impossible. We just will not be doing it. So they we had a long discussion on the groundwater versus surface runoff versus, and they have 3 or 4 different officials at the meeting, as well as the officer that we deal with for Kingston District. And the meeting was going fairly well, but basically, we were questioning a lot of the information we were getting. We couldn't quite understand it. Like there were guidelines, but they're not legal guidelines, and there's a lot of sort of confusion. And John, he's helping with this. He's our consultant, helping with this file. And so I think they just I don't want to. It looked like they got a little imitated, and at the end is, stop writing the numbers, you need to do the numbers. So our question is basically, you have we told us to bring everything to a pond. So we're slowly going into the river and mix with the river, and so not harm any of the species of fish and whatever, right? Which is good because we monitor and we take samples after every rainbow. And we take it 15 meters outside of the river, and we do 30 meters outside of the river, and those numbers are fine. That's the receiver. We're trying to get them to base our numbers on the receiver, which is the river, which is what you think it would be, but it's not. It's the pond itself where the out is. And of course, the numbers in the pond are going to go up and go up and go up and go up because it's calcium chloride, right? It doesn't necessarily dilute. Eventually, it gets more concentrated. And so to do anything right now will not lower those numbers. You would have to stop salt forever and wait 5 years before those numbers in that pond will drop. Because once they get to a certain level, they don't drop them, so, you don't add more to it, and you just add fresh water, and eventually they will. So pollution is a solution, but it seemed like it kind of was at the time, it's no longer. So across the street, they have even more salt than we have. You've ever really buy, if you drive by right now, on your way home, you'll see a lot of salt there. They store it when they leave, and they're under the same direction. I asked the question, if we move across the street, does that change things to get it away from the water? I thought the answer would be yes, no, you're still, wherever it's going into the ditches or whatever, you're gonna have the same effect eventually, it's going to get to the water table or to the river. When I asked the question about, well, when winter gets November, and want to help Suez, use my language, call it Suez, and all these trucks are being loaded and going all over all our roads. When the Ministry of Transportation make sure people are safe, we don't want to hear that. That's not anything. Nothing to do with what our conversation is about today. Their flagship now went from terminals that were shut down a few years ago in 2020 to giving them an approval from ECA now because they've lost their construction companies. And do me a favor, Google terminals on your laptop, and you get them or whatever, you'll see that they're up on Twitter. There's one that can't pull it off them. They still company, and they're construction companies, so they blast the rock, which they use in construction with their own equipment and use the product and take out of it, and basically make a hole. They're gonna put a cover on it, and that's where they're gonna keep the salt. There's no other point to do that. We're not all of them cliffs that can build quarries with salt. So that was kind of their example, and it's just not a practical example because you can't do that. We go more than, well, in the ground and the water system can't go down like that. So we've got to find, and we've worked on it before. I think this is a bit of a guide. We're going to continue that. We tried pumping the water out and adding polymers to it to try and thicken it, try and extract that out. But even if you get rid of all your suspended solids, you're still going to be left with the brine in that pond. That's a 5 or 6% calcium chloride, right? So it's trying to find a solution. So they're sort of suggesting that you stop the salt from going in. Well, how do you stop the salt from going in? I mean,
Not have it remain more solid.
right. Exactly. So
That's not,
so I mean, you have to look at the end of the day, if you look at what can you do, there's they have different equipment out there, they're using the oceans and so on, work, they're very expensive and they take a lot of electricity. Buildings are very expensive, and in our case, not practical, where we are now. So I'm not saying it wouldn't be a solution, but it would be so impractical for us, for the revenue that we take in, that we would just say no. It would make sense to go any further with it, like, to give you an idea, 500,000 tons of salt is 650 grand in revenue. You're going to make another 10 or 15 off for investment. So you're up to what, 800,000? Then you have some leases that we get that are worth 200,000. You're up to $1 million. And what if the solution costs you $3 million? Now, unless the small companies are going to step up to the plate and be part of the solution, or the government itself that want to come up with new regulations like they did for securities, if they come up with after 9/11 with new regulations for security, they had funding. So you could apply for funding, which is what we did, and that's what we got on the original fencing for this funding to issue security in court. So they're coming up with these things, but I don't think they really thought about it. We haven't thought about a solution for it. We really help the government. And so that's the best I can tell you right now. It's not like we haven't been trying to do things and try to explain to them what we've done. We follow the process. And this all started when we built our new dock, just to give you a little bit of history of what we were running, what we see, until we came up with a salt management plan. So we had all the funding in place, the government, and we had our money ready, and it took us a year and a half to get the ECA approved, and that was what we came up with, and that's what they got the consultant that we worked with to develop it, and they approved it, we said we're good to go, and now they're saying it's no longer acceptable. So that's where we're at. So it's kind of frustrating. There's no solutions out with is basically, here are the numbers and, you need to meet them. And to give you an idea of meeting them, and you're talking, I believe, 620 millimeters per hour. Anyway, we're at about, okay, we're at like 20,000 per example, you get to 600. It will not drop and get to that point unless you fully stop yourself and just, you know, even an idea of cutting your pond in half and then doing one half head and then adding it over the other side and then add river water to it. So that when it comes at that height, it's at a lower level, you get it down to the level, that's well, because now you're just increasing volume, the same amount of salt is still going into the river, you just have to dilute it. But to me, that makes sense to me, but that's not acceptable. It's a challenge, it's a big challenge for us, so. I just wanted to give you a heads up now that we have some February 1st. And at that point, you're looking for some different scenarios that we could do. And then we want those in place at least starting by April. Now, they said these suggestions may take us 3 years or 6 years. They're okay with that. But we're not going to have a possible solution provided for the student. So it's not like we have to say, February 1, April 1, you have to get this level. I don't want you to get that. We have to have the solution or the recommendation of what we want to do by that. It could take 5 years.
About 20.
As long as, as long as this city is happening, that's fine. We're happy with that. But what I'm trying to expose is about making us take the measurement out of that. We can't get that number down because we're already at that limit. There's no way with the concentration that's in there now, unless you empty that whole pond out, which and you just can't empty it out. Now it's an incredible amount of money to dispose of that, right? Even this just salt drawing basically, right? So you have to brainstorm all kinds of solutions. Can you get a clean brine? Can you get rid of spending solids, putting it through a polymer in the bladder and filtering it, and then we have to get all the literally crap out of it, right? And then we just left with the brine. Okay, well, I need another tank up for that in and separate. So do we have to build another tank? And then what can we do with that? Is a commercial viable business that we want salt brine. Actually, we need. But to try and put that all together is quite a thing. So I just wanted to give you all an update early enough on because this is happening to us. You know where we work on.
I know it didn't answer your question.
No,
It's
the right discussion to have, so
it sure is. It bothers me that they give you all these ideas, but they don't ask you, well, we're gonna help you pay for it. So
But they also give you all these ideas. They couldn't go to the building past their ideas.
Yeah.
So I might work for the city and smaller people, but that will work for the point.
Mr. Martell?
Mr. Daly did answer my question, so we didn't answer yours, right?
Sorry, Mr. Question.
I just think you were talking to the other boards.
Oh, I started off saying, oh, yeah, and all I know is we get to deliver, so excuse me, out there, we have to.
The only other comment I had was fantastic job on Friday. It was casual but professional. You guys were dynamite. It was like Regis and Kathy of the Johnstown Board. Fantastic. Thank you.
I don't want to restart. I don't want to call it a rant. It was a good conversation to that point. And it's a big issue for sure. You know what I mean? And I think we all sit here knowing which way the river flows and what it flows into, and worrying about the salt confuses me a little bit, but it's out of my science for sure. When you do that analysis, I'm assuming we're also going to hopefully have some possible, if it for the worst case scenarios, for instance, some options presented. Hopefully, it would help us figure out if there is a replacement. If that has to come to that reality, have we heard of the analysis, or is that a longer term thing? So in other words, if one of the options is the worst case option is salt maybe isn't a feasible option for business anymore, do hopefully we have some things in our pocket that we think we could use that space for, I guess, essentially, potentially.
Right. So there'll be definitely a lot more discussion.
Yep. And I don't look at that.
Part of it, Councilor, is to have this a little bit public, so that it's kind of a little bit of a not strategy, but people need to know.
Absolutely.
And so, to not bring it forward and so on, to see what we're dealing with as a board, I think, they would really like this to be real quiet, just work behind, but I think the public needs to know what we're dealing with here and the risk, and I think that's what we're talking about, the social, impact that it could have, right? Putting more trucks on the road and so on, and the whole reason why we got the dock again is this, our salt dock is failing. So we applied for emergency funding, we were successful because of that. We didn't want to do the 12,000 trucks on the other side of Toronto, Windsor, Goddard, having to come all the way to Eastern Ontario. So, this is why we're starting to talk about it now. There'll be a lot more discussion, and we certainly will hit you at the last minute with, we've got to do this,
No, and fairness.
sort of thing.
And then the only last question I had, and I think you answered it, but I didn't get it necessarily verbatim to how I was expecting to hear the answer is. So over the years, when they originally approved this ECA, they approved us for a certain outflow that was known, if you will, that was anticipated. Are we within that range of that ECA, or is it that we're way over that what we're approved for? Like, in other words, you said it was about 20,000 for whatever.
Really, there's always been some guidelines, as the water cables, Ontario and so on, there's different specs that, but there was never anything like, you have to follow this, you have to do this. Okay, understood that we're having issues that were higher. Remember, we used to do the salt on the harborfront dock, we didn't have any ponds, we didn't have anything. The way you engage, we had a weir, we measured the flow, so we got a flow. And we got it all directed to the same area, because that's what they want. They want to be able to measure how much is going into the river. But, so they have to make sure you design the docks, so they don't flow into the river, that they know that wherever your salt flows down, so you get into the pond. It was all an attempt of what their sort of strategy was, to centralize and get everything so you can measure it all. But by doing that, they concentrated it all. If it was all left the way it was, like Port of Ogdensburg, where it just, wherever it goes into the river, it's all diluted. But I brought that up and that was shot down pretty quick. We don't follow environmental needs from other countries, but trying to explain that they're a kilometer across the river from the port. Surely they're having a bigger impact on the river than the port is. But they're not interested in anything like that.
And I guess just lastly, and I think it's a yes, no question, okay? But essentially, in the letter of what we signed up for with this new ECA, with the ECA originally from the docks, we're meeting what we said we were gonna do.
Yes, we're doing exactly what
Okay,
we said.
yeah, that's good, appreciate that.
The only thing that we're struggling with is the memorandum of understanding from the original owners of the calcium tank, that they would take some of the water. Okay, so the calcium chloride comes in, it's somewhere around 40% concentrate. They got it unit down to 23% to make the break for the roads. They use this for de-icing and so on. I think even the township uses some of that, right? So they're taking water and pumping it into their tank, right? So we said, well, instead of taking that water, let's take it out of the pond. So if we can move some of the water, what's it at? And we said, well, it's at 3%, 1.5 to 2%. Concentrate is all we have. We can use that. We're going from 40 down to 23, 1.5 doesn't matter. Still going to do it. When we started, and they were able to use some of it, but then as we progressed, we got higher and higher concentrates, and they got dirtier and dirtier with more suspended solids, DSF, and that got more and more, so they couldn't use it. Now it's contaminating their product. So that was the only thing that really changed. It wasn't taking a lot of anyways, but it still was a difference from the original.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I just have one question. The pond, you said it wouldn't be feasible to empty it, like to haul it away.
If you empty it out, if you could find a way to work and get a value of how much that would cost you. I don't know the number offhand, we talk millions of liters or hundreds of thousands of liters that you have to transport. You can't just bring it anywhere. It has to be specialized across. The figure would be astronomical. How much it would cost? You could do that, and then you would start over. So your numbers would drop way down. And then eventually they would start coming back up.
So how long would it take to fill the pond back up again?
So it would really say that long, to be quite honest.
So it's not feasible.
I think, yeah, it doesn't make sense. Other than you see the numbers drop again. And And then they'd be happy for a little while, and then they'd start going back up and they'd be right back where they are. So I don't think, you know, emptying it is really the right solution. Cleaning it, potentially making it usable somewhere else, potentially, but there's a cost to that. And then what we're trying, the challenge we have is, where do you get that? You separate it and now you let the crap go back in the pond and look at stuff that has to go somewhere, it's a lot. So now you have to build another tank for that. We don't have anyone to buy it, we take it for free. So that's sort of what we need to work on. Is there potential interest that we have to solve on it if it was?
Like we're. Mr. Stitt,
Any idea?
something's turning in there.
Sure.
I said something's turning in there.
Any idea of the concentration now on the pond? You see, you threw 1 3%.
I would guess somewhere constant between 4 or something like that. So it's just somewhere between, I would guess somewhere between 4 to 6%.
I have a couple questions, so I'm gonna start with maybe the easiest one. You said that there was one time just recently where we used to actually pump water out to help with the dilution of the 40% calcium chloride.
Yes.
That was a TSF, total suspended solids issue.
Yes.
Is there any potential, I'm just throwing this out, but would you deal with the suspended solids? Getting back into and contaminating the tank or the brine that's there? Any potential for a filtration system to go on that line? And was it tried or am I beating the horse?
No, there's potential for anything, right? It's just, I'm not just gonna find that it would solve our problem. It just. It added to the EC application, and it was. I don't know, something that they like to see, but when you look at the numbers that they need, like, if they bring in 3 barges a year, the amount they would take out is very, very little. But I think it's a really good point, another thing that we can look at, you know.
It's something to throw out them now. It may be one of the quick, easy solutions that keeps everybody going, oh, they're working on it, they're making progress. That's just my thought on that. For filtration. Second question. We're not in this alone. Rideau Bulk Terminals is obviously in the same boat as us.
Yes.
You mentioned that we're working with John McGear
And
on this and Rideau Bulk.
in my report.
Okay. They've contracted to John as well.
No, they've got their own environmental people.
Okay.
And so they actually own a company like that does its environmental. So I met with that lady, a couple of weeks ago, and so we're going to, suggest that we partner up. Thanks each other's resources, and, because eventually we both have to come up, even if we move to the other side of the property, but we've got to come up with a solution together.
Right.
You know, it may be the best thing to do is move it to the other side, and then we can have the same solution together, right? So, yes, we're definitely working with them.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that.
Is Thomason, East and Morrisburg, what's going on there? Are they looking to do something?
They're doing remediation right now.
Yeah.
With all the contaminants in the soil. I don't know exactly where they're at. They said they had to leave it. This was about a few months ago when I spoke to them that they're doing work that they have to leave for.
Okay, because
And what they're looking at, they're looking at right now, it's a dolphin. You know, where you have where they live now, there's a gap between where they live and the dock.
Yeah.
They're going along there, they should see that dock. They're going to be filling that in and making a dock.
because there's talk, that was the rumor, they're building a salt unloading station. That's what's gonna happen, they're gonna bring salt in. They're gonna bring salt in, and then,
They're bringing it in now.
Salt already goes.
but is it Thomason that's bringing the salt in?
I'll read about.
There's Rio Bulk, okay, but there's Rio Bulk, they don't own that anymore.
They don't, they have a contract agreement with Tomlinson Donnery for a year, and that comes to in 2024, and we're not sure it's going to happen. The plan right now is for that to come this way, instead of going to that dock, it could be an extra 150,000 tons.
Okay, that's what Tom's gonna bite into that now, or in the future.
So they're interested in getting into the salt business, they're interested in it's.
They're interested in the air.
so I'll be quite honest.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Go ahead.
I can throw a little bit of background on the Quonset situation down there, because I happen to do a little bit of work for it, and it's not private information as I understand it. But they've got 1 year that they need to let the dirt settle with the bacteria and the microbes that are in it, the brown dirt, apparently, to mellow it out. And yeah, Tomlinson on the north side, they own the whole property now, they have leased the south side back to Welsh LLP, who used to own the property. That's who does the salt, that's who the contracts are through the salt at the present time. And my understanding is that they really want to develop it as an aggregates business.
Yes.
They currently own 2 other facilities, 2 other dock facilities in the province of Ontario. They're up in the northern section of the Great Lakes. I don't recall the exact location, but they're really looking to move more into aggregates, stone, rock, maybe into salt. There hasn't been any discussion. Yeah.
They're a big company.
Oh, absolutely, and that's whatever. Yeah, and they just wrapped up their preliminary, their golf and evaluation and upgrades, so they're good and they're thumbs up, ready to go down there now, so. Feeling it safer and better for the winter docking and moving forward, but yeah, they're still a ways away from doing anything other than that. But yeah, where they going in, who knows? They still have rail, which we're really fortunate to have, and there's no other infrastructure there.
Almost, I just have one question on this, and that is, have we ever talked to our good friend Chief Rumpel?
You say that again, please.
Have we ever talked to Chief Rumpel on this little issue that we have? And brought them in.
We've
so-
talked about certain plants that absorb some of the salt and so on out of the ground. We did try, sunflowers actually are really good for that. We did try planting some and we weren't successful with that, but we're still waiting. We are working with them and we are waiting for the proposal. So they're going to be working with us on erosion control, different types of vegetation that helps. But,
Yeah,
but that's really not going to this situation, but we'll have enough conversations with them on. They like to look at natural remedies and so on.
well, if we had them in there too, I mean, with the minister and Environment said, look, we're trying to do everything. I mean, we're even bringing these people on board. It's gotta help us. I mean, that's Macy.
Absolutely.
Jeepers.
Good point.
Okay, any other questions? We kind of beat that one to death. It's a good one, because we're gonna be bringing it up again. Okay, I need a mover for A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. May I have a moved by Mr. Ward, second by Mr. Smell, all in favor? Good. Next one is H, labor comparison.
Yeah, this was already discussed at the previous meeting.
Yeah.
However, it was like a procedure and I was asked to put it in here just to have it in the package.
So is it a discussion or just
Now it's just,
information?
We've already discussed it. It's just information.
Yeah, very good. Any questions or comments on this? Take it home, read it.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a small little statement on it. I thought it was a really helpful view to figure out, how much, because when you look at it, roughly there's about 48, call it 50K, that's basically the mix / increase in revenues this year, 40K for a new mill rate, which we know we need and things like that. And then, so I mean, it's just to really try to explain that difference anyway. So thanks for putting it in there for us.
I still like the volume comparison, actually. I mean, that just blows me away. You can have all the numbers you want, but there's one number you just have to look at. Kind of answers that question, so. Thanks for that one, I appreciate it. Okay, 8I.
And that's just so you know, in that report, I gave you the volume is there at the bottom.
Sorry?
The volume is there at the bottom.
Oh, is it? Okay, I went back to, okay, good. Okay, I didn't even read it because I was so excited about the volume before, so, okay, good.
All right.
Yep, oh yeah, I see it, thank you. Master Protect wall coating, what colors we gonna take? Is this just another information about picking the colors or?
Well, we're going to get your opinion on, we don't want to get a color that you don't like, you don't clearly really the color.
Well, you know what? I gotta think about this today. It wouldn't matter what color we're gonna pick. Somebody in this township and around is gonna just torment us.
I was just disappointed. I was just disappointed there was no girl.
Very well, I don't go to the apartment with
Well,
grain. I mean, it's not even grain. So.
And they have a nice terracotta on their sheets, but then they don't have it down here in the color scheme. I don't know, so.
But is this just an information too, or?
I mean, we just kind of figured. Between Robert and I mean, I kind of love the light gray so that it matches the building is there, because I don't want everybody to see for the next 10 years what our long days is gonna.
So what do you call that light gray? Winter gray, a morning shadow, silver fox? You tell me.
Kind of like the early dawn or something like that.
Early dawn, okay, yeah, right below the winter gray.
Robert kind of likes, which one would you like? Light, the whipped cream, the light brown. Some gray paint on the inside as well.
Which one did Robert want? With green?
The right hand panel line up at the top. Like the light brown.
Oh, yeah, I see it, with green, yeah. 9169.
So there was somebody who's not at this table who thought it'd be a great thing for a movie theater as well, so.
Oh, I'm stoked for it. I can't wait.
We said all toys on your same.
Well, somebody has to defend his
I'm-
honor, I
I'm
guess.
with- I just can't wait till we have that.
So you,
Yeah.
I mean,
So it's gonna be like our, I guess, we're just kind of decide, so we just start thinking about this. We didn't want to just go, oh, why did you do that? Or, why did you paint something dark? So if everyone agrees that, they're happy with us putting a light color in it,
Yeah, the early dawn, yeah, I can see it, or even the white cream.
In its original state, that elevator was painted absolutely white. You look back to photos from the 30s, it's just a pristine white.
Like a stark white?
Yeah, I'm sure you could see it from miles.
And you see the look, it's very bright, but.
Wow.
hard to keep it clean though, it's better to do black, isn't it?
Brown.
Yeah.
So that's gonna come to you guys before, or come back to us before you decide, or you're gonna pay
This is
You're gonna call it,
Get your input now, or forever we'll watch it.
or hold your peace. I do like the early dawn myself, something like that, like the winter gray, early dawn.
like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put my name in this one too. I like the early dawn or, something at least that
gray, yeah.
light, if you will, or a little darker potentially just to help cover some of the, whatever's, but you guys are the experts. If you think early dawn is better than say nickel, I'm okay with that.
I kind of thought if we wanted to fancy, we would do the window boxes at the top and the window boxes in the bottom, like a darker gray, if we ever gets to that point. But certainly right now, it's just a bit open, just enough people want it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a test patch essentially as well, and we'll leave it there, we're not gonna paint over it.
Okay, I think, the deal here, we're gonna leave that up to you guys, and then we can blame it on you guys too, so.
It's got consultant written all over.
Yeah. Maybe like the rent of government. Approval, we're gonna move on to number 9 unless anybody else has any questions on color. Approval of the disbursements or accounts. I really don't know why we have that here, because we already approved them and I already signed the checks, so. So, does anybody have any questions on these?
Didn't see anything, whatever. Not here.
Yes,
Still no bill from Enbridge, guys?
No,
Still haven't caught up to us, meter? That goes back, I think, 2 months, so.
Well, I think, what I understood from Jeff is I think they have the meter fixed, but they're not, something, I think, Jeff would have to quote on that, they're not billing us right now. I think because they billed us so much before on just estimating. Estimates, I'm guessing way higher than we should have been. So I don't know if they're just going on a credit now or.
Thanks.
Or I can send an email out to the group this evening.
I'm good with next meeting. I will say no bill, and I remember that was my couple meetings ago when I was here. I thought, wonder where the meters at and where they're at, so. I know they're going to forget you. Thanks.
Any other questions answered? Any other questions on the disbursements? Do I need a mover for that? Can I have a mover for the disbursement moved by Mr. Smell and second by Mr. Ward? All in favor? Carried. Number 10, we're moving on, council inquiries. Anybody have anything? Nothing? No, council inquiries. Okay, moving on, chair's report, I do have a little bit. I've been in constant contact with the mayor. He's in London today. He had his first meeting with, didn't give me the name, but the MPP of the provincial government, who's in the same riding of Francis Durant. Super, had a good conversation with him, said he's gonna work very hard with him on that. He's a provincial PC down in the same riding, and then he also had a delegation with an MPP, Trevor Jones, who's on the agriculture side of it. And he said that he's gonna do everything on his behalf to get things rolling. And last but not least, we got Midjet, Minister of Economic and Development, a creation of trade. I didn't know why Vic Fideli, that's his ministry, but he's the one that can pull some strings on this too, he said. So the three, he's meeting with, I think, Vic tomorrow. So just to report on that. And as chair of the Port of Johnstown, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank MP Francis Durant and the parliamentary secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture and Food for the recent announcement investment of $2 million at Port of Johnstown under the adoption of Stream Agriculture Clean Technology. I'd like to thank our mayor, Tori Deschamps, for representing our township, and our general manager, Robert Daly, and staff for representing the Port of Johnstown during this important time. We are fortunate to have such skilled labor force at our port who work with efficiency to demonstrate to officials that we are worthy of these opportunities. And last, but certainly not least, I would also like to show our appreciation for our Chief Round Point for sharing his wisdom and reminding us how precious our environment is and the role we have to play to help reduce greenhouse gases and emissions. This financial investment will enable the purchase of a new dryer system that in turn will minimize fuel consumption by 20 to 40% for an estimate of 344,000 metric tons of CO2 annually. So I do appreciate everything we did as chair, and thank you very much, and we are going in the right direction. So well done again, guys. Well, number 12, question period. We have a couple of people in the gallery. Any questions? Steve? Okay, we have no in-camera session. Number 14, my favorite. Who's gonna move? Moved by Roddy Smell, second by Chris Ward. We now do adjourn at 7:50 p.m. It should always be in order. I like